On to Championship Sunday.
Oh,
Welcome into Sunday Scaries. Not make two Palmetto and Bucks McGee. Hey, it's actually Sunday.
when's the last time we've done one on a Sunday? I can't even remember.
Freaking life.
Freaking man, I remember when football was Sunday.
Yeah. They did, of course, split them into Saturday and Sunday, just because that's the way the playoffs be.
It's about that money. It's about that money.
Yes, sir. So we can get right into it. I mean, it really started off with, I don't know how many people really thought the Jags were going to give Kansas City a run for their money, but they kept it pretty close. It was kind of like you look at the line scores, like back and forth all game, and not a lot of huge standout performance other than Travis Kelce, who's just a playoff machine.
Oh, he's been it all year. You know that offense runs through Travis Kelce. Let's be honest.
Yeah. And like, to me, with this game, I look at it and I believe Patrick Mahomes is a little limped coming out of it. So
Yep, they're saying high ankle sprain.
like, do we think that? I mean, they were talking about it a little bit today during the Buffalo game. Tony Romo, speaking on his experience with having a high ankle sprain, and he was saying, like, he was like, he probably would have felt great today because he's out in the field, adrenaline's going, all that sort of thing. And then as soon as the next day comes, then it's gonna the body's gonna tighten up, and then that's where the issues will start. And so that almost creates this, like, Willie won't he type of expectation going into next week against Cincinnati, which Cincinnati, of course, always has the Chiefs' number of late.
He's going. He's playing. Let's be realistic. He's gonna do whatever it takes. It's gonna be the full week of he'll sleep for 5 hours, 10 hours of treatment. Sleep for 5 hours, 10 hours of treatment. They're gonna play. Chad Henne is a serviceable backup. Like, he's been in the league, it feels like 30 years, maybe longer than Brady. So but no, there's no doubt that Mahomes is gonna play. That being said, the mobility is absolutely key, because we all know the Mahomes magic and turn something into nothing. If they make him a pure pocket passer, the game's going to be interesting. And I think at that point, I'm taking Cincinnati.
Hold that thought. We'll get into that more in a minute.
I think, with Mahomes, who knows? Maybe he's superhuman and he runs on that leg like nothing, but it's going to be interesting. But I think all week it's going to be prep them, So it'll be interesting how they treat this.
Would you even go as far as to entertain the strategy of just shutting him down for, like, just have him attend team functions, of course, and tape sessions, but, like, as far as actual practice, do you really need Patrick Mahomes to get on the field during practices?
You probably don't, but if that's going to help in the process with the treatment to keep it loose and keep it going, then maybe, he does some walkthrough kind of stuff. I think it just depends how the treatment takes to it. They may just tape the heck out of it, and he may just say whatever, like he did. Because let's be honest, man, they taped the heck out of that thing, and you'd see him throw a pass and he'd limp like it was the worst thing on earth, but he got through it. But
numb that puppy up.
Yeah, exactly. With whatever you got in the medicine cabinet. But no, I think, they'll probably be a little light on him. Like, at this point, what you are is what you are. It's not like they're gonna, pull out a new playbook and have them running 20 different new plays. It's gonna be, this is what we've got. Let's work with this. So yeah, I think they'll take them light, walk through wise, but there's just gonna be a lot of treatment.
Speaking of Chad Henne being in the league 30 years, some of those years down in Miami, if it wasn't for the weather, a year and a half probably feels like 30.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, Chad Henne. Chad Henne.
Was he a Jet too, or was it just the Dolphins?
I think he may have been on almost every team in the league. I don't even know. I honestly, I thought he was gone. I honestly was like, Chad Henne. I was like, what? And he comes bouncing out, throws a touchdown. I'm like, there it is. Chad Henne. Maybe you know what happens? They go down, they're tied in the fourth quarter. Mahomes can't go, and Chad Henne wins it for him.
Like Drew.
Yep, exactly. Like Drew against Pitt. There it is. And then Chad Henne leads them in the Super Bowl. Super Bowl MVP, Chad Henne. I don't know. Weirder things have happened.
Found a way to work in a pseudo Brady reference into the show after all.
There it is. There's always one.
Did you see enough out of the running game from Kansas City to make you think that in the event Mahomes is not 100%, that it still might be enough for them to withstand the onslaught that is Cincinnati?
So you're asking me if Mahomes is like 60%, even though 60% of Mahomes may be just as good as 100% of most quarterbacks in the league. So if Mahomes is really, really struggling, can they lean on the run game? I don't think so. I don't think if their defense was stronger, I'm not sold on Kansas City's defense.
Yeah.
Like they show glimpses, but I just don't know if they can go a full game where like they have to lean on that defense. When was the last time they've really had to?
Yeah.
Probably before Mahomes.
Yeah. They're probably right.
Know? So at this point, if that's the case, I give you maybe a quarter and a half, and then the onslaught begins.
Yeah. Maybe the Super Bowl and they beat San Francisco? Or maybe that was just all Jimmy G shitting a brick.
Well, Jimmy G is good for don't forget, Jimmy G was good for the one or two picks, in control of the game. Let me throw a pick because I don't know why, but I just throw the ball in the most inopportune times. But I don't know. I don't know if Kansas City can really lean on that defense. I don't know. Maybe this is the game where it turns around and all of a sudden their defense just is 60 minutes of just pure hell, and they've got it all together. But because there's leaks in that defense, and Cincinnati's had their number. Let's be honest. I don't think Cincinnati cares where they play this game.
Yeah. No, yeah, I don't think they do either.
They don't care that they're going to Arrowhead. They don't care. Yeah. So they're hoping and praying that Mahomes is healthy because that defense, I don't think, can handle it. I like their run game. I think their run game is a great complement to what Mahomes does. But I don't know if Pachenko is that guy where you're going to give him the ball 25, 30 times and say, we need you to carry him. I don't know.
Yeah. Here's hoping for something more from a man whose name sounds like a casino game. Or not the casino. Price is Right. That's what Plinko was. It was.
Yes, exactly. Dude, I like that kid. That kid is good. He runs hard, but I don't know if he's a 25 carry guy right now.
Yeah, is he a workhorse? Meh.
He's a great couple.
8 yards of carry looks pretty nice, but
when you got Patty Mahomes, scoring 4 touchdowns on his own, you pretty much are just what you're getting out of that defense is, okay, we don't want Mahomes to beat us, so we're gonna let the run game beat us, and that kid pounds you hard enough where he looks really good. Kid's got talent, but I don't know if this is the game you really want to find out if he's the guy. But this very well may be it.
What did you see out of Jacksonville? They didn't put up quite the gaudy numbers they did last week in that comeback win, but did they kind of show you enough to put the league on notice a little bit?
Oh, definitely. I think it was just the fact that they're a young team. There were a couple catches that Kirk should have had. He didn't make. They had that one real deep play, and he just dropped the ball. It's just young mistakes, and I think the league now is on notice. I think Jacksonville is the real deal. They've got a ton of talent. I think next year you're going to see them on a lot of primetime games. I think they very well may run that division for the next couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
I think that defense is young. they're hungry, and I like the way they played. They played with no fear. They made mistakes. They hadn't been there before. They were in it to the end. So let's be, you gotta give them their due. And for the future's really bright there. I like what I saw.
As the expression goes, good teams win, great teams cover, and they certainly did cover the 9.5. I believe it was.
Chase was like, thank you. I appreciate you.
Prime time Saturday night, not so much the result that prime time normally gives the fan.
My Lord, the worst thing on earth.
28-0 at halftime. Philly got out fast, they got out hot, and they buried the Giants very, very quickly. And I guess Giants faithful, if you want to blame me, go ahead, because this whole year I've been saying I'm waiting for them to come back to earth, waiting to fall back to reality. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. The one week I said, you know what? I got confidence in them. They played well against the Eagles that last week of the season. They're that weird, what was our expression last week? Twigs and hay. What was it?
Sticks yep. Basically, teams made of twigs and hay.
Yeah.
And did the wolf come?
Yeah. The wolf came in a bad way. He's a bad man.
As ugly as you'll ever see.
So the 1 week I actually put some chips on the table. Well, not literally, but I'm looking at it, I'm like, you know what? I think the Giants could do this. Maybe they'll cause a problem. Maybe they'll just have the perfect game plan and they'll catch Philly off guard. Nope. Didn't even get off the bus practically.
Seriously, I don't even know who that team was. If that was like the 2019 Giants, I would have been like, yep, that was it. Because there was nothing. You could take nothing from that game. I was like, what?
Saquon barely had 80 yards combined, so he was pretty much held in check.
No, the Eagles knew exactly what they had to do. And we talked about it. That team was literally Danny Dimes and Saquon. You cut the head, cut Daniel down, and there's nothing.
Yeah.
And that's what the Eagles did. Their defense played fast and hard, and it was just like, all right, next.
They put up a whopping 268 yards on the ground and scored 3 times.
It was like this. It was horrible. It was just like there was like nobody there. It was like the Eagles and just nothing.
Do you
think
we're
going to stop Miles? Anybody do something here? There's nothing. It was just like nothing. And we said, we said sooner or later, like you said, they were going to come to earth, fall down. This is it. But I thought there was going to be a little more to it, and they were just overmatched, completely overmatched.
Did you see? We had some legitimate question marks for Jalen Hurts' health after what he looked like in that last game after missing a few weeks. From what you saw Saturday night, is Jalen back enough where that's no longer concerned, and the Eagles are going to get back to the Eagles they were for most of the season, which were just completely dominant football team?
I don't know. Because, like you said, they ran the ball a lot. Okay, it wasn't like they told Jalen, go out there and throw the ball 35, 40 times and, put on your aerial display. There wasn't any of that. They knew. They were like, all right, let's run the ball. If Jalen's got to throw, then we'll work that in. But they didn't have to worry about it. They just ran roughshod. Against the Niners, he's going to have to throw the ball a little. He's going to have to throw the ball a little here. And I don't even know if that's good because, that Niners defense is, we haven't gotten there yet, but I don't know. I don't know if they're going to put up 260 plus rushing yards on the Niners.
I would bet against it.
If you're taking prop bets, maybe go 65 to 85, maybe. I don't know. I'm not a betting man like that, but
yeah.
But no, they need to rest him and just hope that he's ready to throw.
And you're right. They didn't ask him to throw a lot, but he was very, very efficient.
No, he was, and that was the thing. He worked within the frame. They're like, we're going to run the ball basically a ton. You'll do what if we need you to throw, then go ahead. But yeah, he didn't have to carry them.
Yeah, 2-to-1 incompletion ratio. Only had the 150 yards, but threw 2 touchdowns, scored one on the ground. So yeah, solid, but not like you said, he's not carrying anybody.
Exactly. So now does that offense turn into almost a bendy don't break because you're injured offense? Like, okay, throw for 150, maybe two, you'll get your touchdown tosses in the red zone, maybe scamper in a little bit, but we're not going to ask you to, throw for 350. Because if it becomes a shootout, is he healthy enough to go that route? I think maybe if he was, it would have been kind of good to see him do that. But because they kind of held him back, maybe he's still not there yet. Maybe this is the week, he busts out, but it is something to watch.
We'll get into more of it in a minute, but if the benchmark to success against the Niners defense was Dak today, the bar set fairly low.
Chad Henne told you, Super Bowl winning quarterback, because he'll hit those numbers.
It might not be for very far, but
you just set up Chad Henne for greatness. Congratulations.
Chad Henne versus the Purdy boy.
That's it, man. And Chad Henne, Super Bowl MVP. He's gonna finally get that big contract he deserves. Someone's signing him.
Rolling into the games today, Sunday. Your big question marks a lot recently was that offensive line in Cincinnati.
All of a sudden, they wanted to play. All of a sudden, they wanted to play. Snow and all. Now these guys are all ready to play. Hey, they proved me wrong. And, they played well. I give them total credit. They played well, The Bengals came out and they didn't care. I think they've had a chip on their shoulder because no one's really believed in them. Now, they have kind of given pause for that. It's not like they've been bulldozing through the playoffs, but I'll give credit where credit's due, man. They went into Buffalo and said, yep, nope, we're good. We're going.
And I mean, the numbers back up that much as well because they had a huge game on the ground. Hurst and Chase both had big games. Each scored a touchdown, lots of yards.
I don't remember. How many yards did Chase have?
Actually 61, which I would not have guessed that he had more yards, albeit only by 2. But I would not have guessed that he had more yards than Hurst because Hurst was the man today.
Hurst was eating today, and he's a solid tight end. I just don't think he ever got he really never got the touches. But no, he ate today, and that offense was humming. There was just no stopping him. No stopping him now. The Bills were down, I think, to their 5th safety. So, like at that point, the second they were just starting to fall apart, and I think I don't know. I think the Bengals just had more of an edge to them. I think Buffalo kind of felt they were going to win. There was all the emotion and everything. I think, they felt that was all they needed to ride through maybe. Hope not.
Yeah.
It's just Cincinnati was just angrier. They just were like, no. They were mad that they were already selling tickets, doing the pre-sales and, for, Buffalo KC. And it was just like, they were like, no, we're not having it. They're like, nope, we're not having it. And they just played a complete game.
Do you think that believing emotion was enough to carry them? Do you think that is a fault on leadership? Because we saw how that emotion was very present in that final game against the Patriots, and it took them a while in that game to really get going and put away New England. So do you think like maybe that's a fault of leadership on McDonough or what's his name? McDermott?
McDermott. McDermott. Yeah.
Do you think that's a fault on him, on the coaching staff, that not to settle his guys down and say, hey guys, I know this is intense. I know there's a lot of emotion here because Damar's in the building, but we got to lock it down and be a little more serious because we almost blew that last game.
Yeah. Well, I think you said it. They've started out slow. and they've had the ability to kind of come back, but sooner or later it was going to catch up to them. It's kind of like Minnesota, last minute, come from behind victory. You have like 10 or 11 of those. Sooner or later, there's going to be a game where you don't come back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this was probably it. They believed, okay, slow start, we can do it, we can turn it on, and they couldn't. You couldn't turn it on against this. Cincinnati was focused, and they were like, nope, we don't care if it's snowing, raining, sleeting, we're taking you out, and that's what happened. So I don't think it's leadership issue. I just think they probably were tired emotionally. They've had the slower starts, and I think if they had started out quicker, this game might have ended differently, but it was just they were too slow, and Cincy smelt the blood early and took it.
Speaking of the snow typically, now obviously it didn't affect Cincinnati. Granted, they did run the ball very effectively, but they were tossing the ball all around the field anyway.
Right.
Typically, when it's snowing, when it's poor conditions like that, it's run it. You got to run the ball. And Buffalo, of course, had numerous examples over the course of the year that their running game wasn't great and didn't do a whole lot today either. Josh Allen was their leading rusher, and not much from him and not much behind him.
No. And we've talked about that. That's been an issue. They don't have that featured back. And I think in the offseason, they have to address it. Like, I know you got some young guys, but let's be realistic. That team is built to win now.
Yeah.
So they need a prime back. Whether they draft one or decide to spend some money in free agency, I don't know. The smart move nowadays is everyone says, don't pay for a back, just draft one. You'll find, but they've drafted some and haven't really hit. So if you really want to win, I think maybe, if you get a back out there, like let's say Josh Jacobs, he's a free agent. If the Raiders don't wow him and he wants to move on, if he feels that maybe Buffalo is the team for him, maybe he cuts him a little bit of a break, signs maybe a 3-year gig. They sign him, and there you go. There's your pounder. That's the guy you need. You need a Josh Jacobs type in that offense, because then you don't have to worry about Josh Allen trying to run and bulldoze people and all that, because he's going to take a hit. He's going to lose an arm or something. It's going to end up bad. It can't happen. So, yeah. Of course, you can't just totally quit on the youngsters that you drafted, but you really got to look at it and say, if we're in win now mode, because your window is going to get smaller. Because free agent, I know they've got some free agents and stuff on the defensive end, so you've got to kind of look to see who you can re-sign. But you need somebody. You need a better back than what you've got.
Do you, in addition to the shortcomings of this ground game, do you think the eventual unfolding, not to take anything away from the way Cincinnati played, of course, do you think a big factor in the unfolding of Buffalo was them just relying on Josh too much?
Yeah, I think that. Now, mind you, you have a franchise quarterback. Of course, you're supposed to hang your hat on him. Like, let's be realistic. He's supposed to be the guy. But there's a point where you've got to say, you got to give him something else. You got to give him that run game. If you want him to start throwing the ball 50, 60 times, perfect example of that is Tom.
Yeah.
No run game, threw the ball 50, 60 times a game, you don't win. You just don't. And what's going to happen is you're going to put him in harm's way. He's going to get hurt. He's not going to see a guy coming off the edge. He's going to take a hit, and then Matt Barkley's going to be running your show for 6 to 8 weeks. So I understand. It's easy to say Josh is going to save us. Josh is going to do it. But there's a point where you got to say, we got to protect him. We need that franchise back. And I think that's what they need. They do need a high-end back.
We need like a little effect, a little bing every time Tom comes up in conversation.
You know what? We need a Tom counter. Next season, we're getting a Tom counter. Every time there's a reference, Tom. If I can get 1,000 Tom counts in there, then there I am. It's like 1,000-yard back. I've done what I need to do.
Oh, speaking of quarterbacks, old Dak Prescott.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh. I don't.
So
That's
rude.
horrible. I'm sorry.
Now the first pick, one of the picks I missed, but the first pick I can't really fault them because that was just an incredible display of athleticism by the corner.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But thank God. Speaking of Buffalo getting nothing on the ground, at least the Buffalo's not expected to get much on the ground. Dallas does have two running backs that are both very good, and they didn't do much better than Buffalo, and they were playing in perfect conditions.
Well, Pollard got hurt, and Pollard got hurt, so that basically nullified their run game. Because let's be honest, Zeke is like your goal line back now. He's not Zeke of 3-4 years ago where it was feed Zeke and he was going to bust 120 yards a game and all that. They've now reduced him to the third down back, the goal line back, and they've tried to pretty it up. So it was almost like putting lipstick on a pig. Let's be realistic. They've tried to make it look good, but it's not. Zeke is just not what he was. And then once Tony Pollard got hurt, that offense just shut down. That offense non-existent because you were forced to say, Dak, carry us. And Dak right now can't do that. He's got all those, he's got great receivers, CeeDee Lamb, he's got quality tight ends, but for some reason, when it's time for Dak to really put it on, he can't. Now, people will say, oh, man, but he had that Tampa game. He played against a horrible Tampa team. Let's be realistic here. He played against a very bad Tampa team that just tripped into the playoffs because they played in a horrible division.
Yep.
So his defense was able to make him look good in that sense. He's shut down their offense, so Zeke's throwing, 5 TDs and looking great. You're playing the 49ers. That defense is no joke. That defense is best in the league, my opinion.
Do you think that the Dallas defense just ran out of gas and brought enough most of this game?
There's no doubt. I think
San Francisco, it took them a while to get going.
Oh, it definitely did. Like that first half, I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
I thought this was going to be a game where, I knew it wasn't going to be a kicking game because we knew Brett Maher there, Mr. Unreliable. I knew they weren't going to count on him because Dallas was like, forget you. After that first miss, they were like, no, we're going on it. 4th and 22, they were going to go. They didn't care.
Mr. Irrelevant versus Mr. Unreliable.
That poor man. So Dallas's defense hung in there, and you're like, okay, it's going to be one of those things where, Dallas gets a drive in late in the game, and that's what holds it up because you were waiting for Purdy to mess up. You were waiting for it. He had a couple possessions where it was like, what are you doing? Like that one where he rolled out and then all of a sudden turns around, runs backwards 10 yards and then just throws it. Like he was playing Madden 18 or something. And, the guy somehow catches it because the game glitches like that.
It's looking like Madden 04 with Michael Vick.
Exactly. Unbelievable. But, yeah, their defense ran out of gas, because all of a sudden, McCaffrey starts hitting 5-yard, 6-yard runs. Then, they give you a little Samuel in there. And then after that, it was just Debo. They imposed their will.
Debo.
And they just imposed their will, and that was the end of it.
Do you think that going forward, because CeeDee Lamb had a huge game, but there really wasn't much else. I mean, Schultz caught a touchdown, but didn't have a ton of yards, and no one else really showed up a whole lot. Do you think that what do you think is the course of action for Dallas to correct this going forward?
Wow.
Because, I mean, they did put a lot on Dak with Pollard going down, like you said. But, I mean, at a certain point,
you're paying
something. Dak needs stuff to throw to, too.
Well, here's the thing. You're paying Dak like he's an elite quarterback. There were some throws he didn't make. Let's be honest. If you're going to pay Dak like he's, top 5 quarterback, then he's got to be able to do it. Let's be honest. And some of his reads aren't that great. And and they talked about it. He's, for the touchdowns he's thrown picks. He's got to minimize those mistakes. And I think the run game will still be good, but next year, is it still going to be, they're probably still going to go with the, Tony Pollard Zeke combo, which will work.
Yeah.
I think maybe wide receiver wise, they need something a little better out of the 2-hole. I think if they had still had Amari Cooper, I think they probably would have won this game. Michael Gallup, I don't know. I don't like, he shows flashes. Noah Brown shows flashes.
How sad is that to regret giving up Amari Cooper?
T.Y. Hilton started out good, and then next thing you know, they stopped going to him.
Talk about players back from the dead.
Seriously, put a star on his helmet. Now all of a sudden the man can play again. Get out of here. But no, I think CeeDee's going to need some help at the wide receiver. The defense is fine. I think they just got to stop making stupid mistakes.
Yeah.
Now I think that'll come with age. They're a young squad. I think the defense you don't have to worry about. It's just getting probably another wide receiver in there, a good number 2. If you do that, then you're good. But the thing is they've got good, decent tight ends and such. Schultz is good. It's Dak, what are you doing with the ball? So
is there a legit buyer's remorse for Dak? Like, oh shit, we shouldn't have given him all this money.
If this happens next year, I think so.
Yeah.
I think now they've tasted the playoffs. If they don't make it to the conference championship next year, then it's going to be okay. Now what? Because, honestly, you look at the NFC as a whole, they're one of the top 3 teams in that conference.
Yeah.
You can't deny that. So now the question is, what are you going to do? Now, with that said, if that happens next year and they get booted out again, let's say a certain coach is available. McCarthy could be on his way out.
He's not already there. Assuming he's not already there.
Exactly. Not there, or a couple other places. But if he's still at Fox, just hanging out, who's to say?
Yeah, because and he might be, because they were talking like the best opportunity is probably Denver. But why does he want to go to Denver with no draft picks?
Yeah, exactly. You're going there with the cupboard empty. You're going with what you have on the field, and that's it.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want that.
Yeah.
Like, literally, he would go to Dallas. Your defense is tailor-made. You're good to go. All you got to do is change up some things on the offense. He's good to go. He's running the NFC for the next 6-7 years.
There could be one monkey wrench in this if, let's say, they part ways with McCarthy.
Mm-hmm.
This week or next week or whenever, and let's say Peyton doesn't want to go there.
Mm-hmm.
Do they promote Kellen Moore? Because in theory, if Peyton were to eventually go there, Kellen Moore's going to be neutralized because he's not calling the plays. There's no way Sean Payton's not calling the plays if he takes a head coaching job again.
I don't know. I really don't know. I think you have to go outside of what you have. I think the shine on Kellen Moore is kind of gone.
Like Leftwich?
You mean the offensive coordinator for Chattanooga U? Housatonic Community College? Shout out to Hoosie. It's horrible.
The real you. The real you.
But no, I think, mate. Here's the thing. Jerry wants that ring now. He's in desperate mode. So if Peyton is not available, maybe he grabs a hot college guy. Like Lincoln, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe Lincoln Riley.
Mm-hmm.
He was always, there were always talks about him, going pro. I don't know if he'd leave. He's only been in USC. He only had his first year here. So I think it might be a situation where you're going to get one more year of McCarthy, but it's going to be, okay, you have all this You have this plethora of talent. What are you doing with it? I think if they don't do anything next year, then you'll see something happen. It just depends who's available.
Yeah, I would agree. There's probably a legitimate chance that they are stuck with one more year of him.
Oh, definitely.
Emphasis on
Because
stuck.
because what's going to happen is it's like, well, it really wasn't McCarthy's fault. It was kind of Dak. And, it's going to be that whole, you shouldn't have spent that money on Dak, yada, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Dallas will be interesting. Like I said, they'll still have the talent. It's just what can they improve on? I think they need another receiver. The defense is stellar. We'll see what happens.
We know everyone wants to talk about Dallas, but let's actually talk about the team that won. No one really stood out in this game. I mean, Elijah Mitchell was back from the dead. He had a good 50 yards on the ground, but was this for them? Purdy was not terrible, but he wasn't the Mr. Perfection that he's been. Was this win for them a lot of just defense and sum of all parts? Because McCaffrey scored that late touchdown. He had 50 some odd yards overall. Debo had 50 some odd yards overall. Was this just kind of like a victory by accumulation? That's not the right word I want to use.
It was a group effort.
Yeah.
It was a group effort. The star of the game was definitely George Kittle. I think George Kittle on offense was definitely catch he had was unreal. I love me some George Kittle, man. That guy's hilarious.
That guy's dead.
I'm telling exactly like half the season, nothing. Put in Mr. Irrelevant, and all of a sudden George Kittle is relevant. No, I think it was a good game. Honestly, I think it was a good game for them. And the reason being is, Purdy really didn't make any mistakes. He had a couple of moments where it was like, that's not what you really do, like that whole scramble bit.
Mm-hmm.
But he had some good throws. He never put them in a position where they were going to lose. He played smart. So I think it showed that, they can win those close ones because let's be honest, they were averaging like close to 40 points a game. They were just a nonstop offensive juggernaut. So to pull this out against that defense, I think shows that they can, if they've got to get down and dirty, they can.
Yeah. It's important to win ugly.
Yeah. And like I said, you've got the kid here who, didn't cause any mistakes, kept them in the game. That's all you can ask.
Who's the most important option for them? I mean, Kittle is obviously the hot hand right now, but is it more important for them to have McCaffrey going or Debo going?
Well, let's see. Going into Philly right now, I think McCaffrey is now the key to it all.
Mm-hmm.
He's the missing piece. But I think that they can't get hung up on him and forget everybody else.
Yeah.
Meaning Debo and Ayuk.
Mitchell.
Yeah. Mitchell spells that nice relief.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you'll see a good dose of him against Philly, but you've got to get Samuel and Ayuk like a good amount of catches. Like they need that offense as a whole to move well. If you're just feeding, McCaffrey, then it's a no-win situation. So, and I think Kittle's going to help with that as well. Not only is he a great blocker, but yeah, he's going to help mid-range. So I think that offense is going to be all right.
Mid-range.
That's it right there, man. He's that man in between the numbers, man. Just throw it up there. Because I don't know if their linebackers are good, but I don't know if they can really hang with what the Niners are bringing. I don't know. They don't have a Fred Warner who's running neck and neck with CeeDee Lamb. Like I saw that play and I was like, no, Fred Warner's the man. Forget what you heard. Fred Warner. All day, Fred Warner. I think that defense is a little faster and such, but no, I think by playing this way against Dallas, they've shown that they can, put up points or grind it out. So I think they're in good shape.
Yeah. Well, that's a good segue. We'll talk about previewing Championship Sunday. Do you think it's pretty safe safe edge Niners, or do you think it's going to be close? Because we kind of didn't. This game today didn't have the look of being close, but it kind of was.
It was it was a game where it was like, okay, you were waiting for the Niners, but it was like Dallas was given enough pushback where it was like, okay. And then you did have a moment where you were like, is Dallas can Dallas pull it off? And then once Pollard got hurt, that whole offense just fell flat. And the Niners just said, all right, let's just do what we do. And like the Niners turned into almost a ground and pound type of team.
Yeah.
It was like, all right, we're just going to hand it to, McCaffrey. Boom, boom, boom. Mitchell got the ball, and then that was it. Edge. Oof. If I knew Hurts was 100% healthy, I would give them the slight edge because they're home. I would give them a slight edge. But I don't know what he is. Maybe he comes out and just starts slinging the rock. Maybe, maybe not. But I think this Niner defense is a little faster than that Eagles defense. Like the Eagles secondary is good, but I don't think linebacker-wise they match up well with the Niners. I think the Niners have an edge at linebacker. And I just think the Niners are going to dictate the tempo. I think the Niners want to say, okay, let's shoot it out. And I think they're just going to I think they're really going to pocket A.J. Brown and maybe force some other guys to kind of step up. Now, they have the guys to do it, but I don't know. I just like the Niners.
Do you think Philly can shut down this running game? Because they did a pretty decent job against Saquon.
They definitely did. But the way that Shanahan calls a game, I think almost kind of neutralizes it. I just feel that it's not going to be McCaffrey. It's going to be a more receiving McCaffrey, and I think he might go more Mitchell. I think you're going to see a lot more Mitchell than we did tonight for sure. So I think they're going to try to turn it into a freaking foot race and see if they can stay with them. And I don't know if they can. I don't know. I took the Niners anyways. I'm riding with the Niners. I can't go back. It's recorded. I can't go back.
Yeah, no, I can't either.
I can't go back.
Conversely, Eagles running game, they've got, these three-headed monster plus Hurts. Do you think that's going to be enough to give San Francisco a challenge on that side of the field?
Oh, definitely. I think it will. Like anytime you got a quarterback that can run, then yeah, it's definitely gonna stretch that defense. They're probably gonna look at that and probably maybe use Warner or some of those other guys to kind of shadow and see what's gonna happen. Keep an eye on them. But it also depends how healthy Hurts is.
Yeah.
Because they may say, you know what? If you can get 2 yards and run out of bounds, okay, fine. But I don't think it's going to be the Hurts of the half season. He's going to be watching himself, and he could be a little gimpy and be like, okay, I'll slide. They're going to tell him, you better slide.
Yeah.
Because those guys are going to hit him. They're going to hit
such a wild card because they've got just so much talent.
They have so much. Exactly. There's so much talent, but is Hurts 100% or well enough to use that? And a lot of that talent, your wide receivers. If they neutralize, Brown and Smith, then what? Are you going to try to slow the game down? While the Niners are trying to basically a foot race. I think they're going to try to foot race them a bit. I don't know. It's interesting to see. It's just not knowing if Hurts is going to be able to throw the ball 30 times.
Yeah.
If he needs to, because who knows, the Eagles defense may just clamp it down. And like you said, he could throw for 2 touchdowns, throw for 210 yards. And there it is. It's an ugly, 17-14 game.
What, flipping the script to the other side. Now here's another example of Now you get an out on this one because you picked Buffalo and now they're out of it. I have to hold true because I rode Cincinnati.
You did, but I did ride Buffalo. That's right. No, wait a minute. I said Buffalo would win, but I think I took the Chiefs. I said
Super Bowl. Yeah.
Okay. I took the Chiefs to go to Super Bowl, so I still have a horse.
Okay. Do you think that the streak
a gimpy horse, but a horse?
A gimpy horse. Yes. How do horses respond to
possibly glue factory? Possibly on the way to the glue factory.
Oh. Do you think the streak will continue with the good luck in the Bengals' favor, or do you think Mahomes is going to get the Chiefs back on track and going back to another Super Bowl?
This is such. If this was like last year, the year before, and Tyreek was still there and stuff, then I would probably have a better answer. But it's such an X factor. I don't know. Because that offense honestly relies on Mahomes and his ability to be the magician. Let's be honest. That's part of the offense. It's not, oh, by the way, surprise he did this. It's okay, it's the norm. Travis Kelce's going to get his touches. We know that. They're going to run the ball. Now, what about these other pieces that you have that are basically not really haven't really heard Juju? Like, I don't think I heard Juju during that Jacksonville game.
I don't think I've heard Juju's name in weeks.
So, like, you've picked these other parts to kind of make up for the Tyreek, but now the way those guys were getting catches was the magician. If he's becomes stationary and almost becomes a pure pocket passer, or they keep him that way, I don't know. I really don't know. Now with a hurt, let's be honest, a hurt Mahomes. I don't know. I'm thinking, I took Kansas City, and I'm gonna ride that. I said it, but I will not be surprised at all if what happened here and what happened in Buffalo happens in Kansas City. Yeah. Because they've already beat them. They beat them 3 times with a healthy Mahomes.
Yeah.
You play the third time, 3 times you beat them, the 4th time's got to be the charm. It's got to be it. They have to lose. But with a hurt Mahomes, there could be some doubt. And that Chiefs defense is decent, but I don't know if those guys can handle those guys there in Cincinnati.
Oh, now it's decent. Now it's decent.
For what they played against Jacksonville, they were decent. Okay, I never said they were horrible. Okay, I never said they were horrible. I didn't say they were great either. But they were decent. They're a decent defense. They do show small glimpses of being good, but I just don't think they're consistently really. They're just outside the top 10. If you told me they were like the 12th ranked defense, all right, I guess, whatever. Like, they have those moments, but they don't have to be great because you got Mahomes and he puts up 30-something points a game. So they don't have to be great. But now it's a situation of if Mahomes can't go like he usually can they stop Chase? Can they stop, Hayden Hurst? Because you got to say him now. Because he's eating now. Higgins, all these guys, they got to stop the run. They're going to pound the heck out of them with the run. Let's be honest.
Yeah, because what's historically the best way to stop an elite quarterback? You keep him off the field.
Yeah, exactly. But they may say, forget it. He's gimpy. We don't care.
Yeah,
they're like, we're just going to match him score for score. I think now
dangerous
with the way that he's the way he's hurt now. I don't think you have to worry. I don't want to say you don't have to worry about it, but now you're just like, we're just going to play our game. Yeah, of course, if that first drive he gets, gimps around and throws some no look, then okay, fine. We want to keep him off the field a little bit, but I think they're not scared. Since he's not scared, they're just going to say, all right, we're here. We've beaten you 3 times. We're going to beat you again.
Yeah.
And we're going to do what we do.
Do you think that, is Kelce the type of player that as long as he goes off, he's as big an impact on a game to carry a team to the finish line, or can Cincinnati use a strategy kind of, I guess, like San Francisco used against CeeDee Lamb, where they kind of let him go off and just didn't let anyone else get shit? Like that old the old Detroit Pistons championship where you let Shaq and Kobe go off and just shut down everyone else.
In this instance, you could probably get away with it because Mahomes is hurt.
Yeah.
If this is a healthy Mahomes, you can't. Yeah, you have to watch for everybody. But I think what you want to do is I think you still want to shut Kelsey down and say, okay, because let's be honest, Kelsey isn't. It's hard because the tight end position has evolved so much. But it's not like he's just some big oaf stumbling around who has the ability to catch. He moves like a wide receiver. Let's be honest. Yeah. He makes cuts and such like a wide receiver. So if Mahomes can move around enough, he's still dangerous. I think you go in and you shut him down. And especially if Mahomes is limited, because now you're going to force him to actually go to these other guys who he doesn't really hang his hat on as much. These guys get the overfill, because everyone is so consumed with Kelsey. These other guys leak out. Juju, Hartman, all these other guys, they leak out and they get their scores. I think Cincinnati has the pieces. I'm not a fan of Eli Apple, but I think they have the pieces to shut it, to keep it contained.
He had a very big pass deflection today, sir.
Yeah, hooray for him. What happened in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
All right. All of a sudden, Cooper Kupp's best friend. Let's not forget all that fiasco. So, I think since he freaking Eli Apple, what a mess, man. Whatever. I think they'll try to limit Kelsey as much as they can, but it's all dependent on the health of 15. Let's be realistic. If he comes out gimping and he's sitting in the pocket and not trying anything, then all bets are off, and you force him to be that pocket quarterback. You force him to be Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Because he's going to have to throw the ball. He's not going to be sidearming, and he's not sidearming 60-yard passes. That's not happening.
Ding, by the way.
Another one. But so it's the game is so hard to call because of this injury. But like I said, if you told me, since he walks in there and wins 31-17 or 31-21, I wouldn't be surprised.
Do you think that since he could go in, and if Mahomes is gimping around and clearly not himself, do you think they could get out to a big lead? Or is this going to be a situation where it could be a one-possession game, a 10-point lead, whatever the case may be, and feel like a lot more insurmountable than that score would normally dictate?
Wow. They could, since he could go the way they went today and put up 2 quick scores. I could see that. I think for them, it's all just making sure that they stick to the game plan and don't get, Mahomes, don't fall into the trap of Mahomes is hurt. We're going to kind of, kick back a little bit. We don't have to, be as serious in that sense. I think the defense needs to come even harder because he's hurt and say, you know what, we need to shut it down now. And we want to go in with like a 3 or 4 touchdown lead in the third quarter, into the third quarter. Because if that's the case, then yeah, the Chiefs are done. But I feel that they need to be cautious. They need to come out and play like they did today. If they do, then I don't see this game being as close as it could be. I think they're on a mission, and I don't know if the Chiefs will answer the call. I just don't know. I've got to see Mahomes play.
Yeah,
it's just you don't know. Like
how similar?
Like how shoot similar it up? I don't know.
Yeah, how similar is that going into last night's game with the Eagles? I've got to see Jalen Hurts play. How similar is that feeling now with Mahomes like it was going into last night?
I think it's different because it wasn't like Hurts was hurt, but it doesn't feel like it's the degree of Mahomes because you've got, like you said, the three-headed monster. People weren't sold on Hurts this year either. Like I said, this has developed over the year because that Hurts was the big question. Can he throw the ball? What were they going to be? Like, not everybody was sold on Jalen Hurts. And, he turned it around and, darling of Philly and, leading the Eagles, number one in the NFC.
Oh yeah, the fact that we even were debating Justin Fields or Jalen Hurts at one point is kind of mind blowing.
Yeah, because we were sitting there going, I don't know, man, Jalen Hurts. So now you sit there and you're like, okay, he's hurt, but how bad? But the offense didn't really. It ran through him, but it didn't. Like he wasn't forced. He didn't have to perform. He was, because the Giants were so bad, all he had to do was let them run for 260 yards. He threw for his, 150, 200, and that was it. Like he played within the confines. The game dictated that he didn't have to carry the team. This game is going to dictate that Mahomes does something because you're not putting Chad Henne in there unless you have to. Like, let's be realistic here. So it's
white flag.
Like, go ahead, Cincy, have fun. We'll see you next year.
Yeah.
So now it's okay, Patrick. How healthy are you? And don't forget, this injury happened far enough where in the regular season the Eagles were already up. The Eagles had pretty much had the number one sewn up. So it wasn't like, oh man, they were like really playing for something. So it's a little different scenario, but like I said, this is going to be interesting.
This might be a little anticlimactic, but let's put our proverbial money where our mouths are.
Yes.
Who's going to be playing in the Super Bowl?
Okay. The NFC, I'm riding the Niners.
Yeah.
I just think they're the most complete team. Like, not to take anything away from the Eagles, but I just feel that they just feel a little faster to me. I'm a sucker for a story of an underdog, underdog's last man picked guy, I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff.
Take 199 and shove it up your ass. Well, Mr. Seriously. Irrelevant, baby.
Yeah, Mr. Irrelevant. Well, yeah. I just think the Niners just have it. It just feels like it's their year to me. I think the Eagles will keep it close. But if it was any other coach but Shanahan, I'd be like, I'll take the Eagles. But no, the way that offense moves, I like the Eagles. So I'm taking the Eagles. I mean, not the Eagles, taking the Niners. In the AFC, I took the Chiefs, before Gimpy Mahomes. But like I said, if the Chiefs if the Bengals go in there and put 30-something on them and walk out there, the AFC champs, it wouldn't surprise me because they looked good. They looked legitimate. So I'm going Niners in Kansas City. I said it before. I got to stick with it.
Rematch of that Jimmy G Super Bowl.
Exactly. See, the Niners have to rectify that situation. There you go. There it is.
I have to ride Cincinnati. I've been riding them the whole time. And I like you have been riding the Niners as well. So I'm going to rematch of Super Bowl whatever back in the 80s.
Jerry Rice is going to be there with his big old chain.
That's what you see. Chain he's walking around with. What the hell is that?
He looks like the uncle who comes to the barbecue who still thinks he's hip, but just is totally not right. It's like the uncle after the 90s and the early noughts there, still wearing FUBU.
Coming in like Flavor Flav.
Exactly. And you're like, dude, no one wears that anymore, man. Take that off. And he's like, what? still thinking the electric slide is the hip and happen and dance, You're like, dude. And you just let him have it. He's wearing Jacquard Noir, just trying to be cool. Like, it's so awkward. And did you see on the back it said go on the piece here on the helmet he was wearing? I'm like, it's all just clunky, hitting him in the chin. I'm like, all right, Jerry. Steve Young looked older than dirt. I got all the respect for Steve Young, but that man looks older than dirt.
They probably are going to trot out all these old Niners before.
They were at the game. They said Merlin Hanks was there. I haven't heard Merlin Hanks' name in forever. Charles Haley was there. I was like,
the only Super Bowl MVP of a losing team.
I was like, wow.
That's how bad it is to be a Colts fan. We had 2 Super Bowls and one of them we didn't even get the MVP in.
Like, dang it, what about us? Hey man, Peyton's coaching was it the AFC and the Pro Bowl, man. Hang your hat on that.
Flag football.
Flag football, baby. Hang your hat on that. That's greatness.
All right, I guess that's close enough to hypothetically pick the Super Bowl. So you got Chiefs Niners. You say Niners redemption?
Yes, I think the Niners win it. I just think it's their year. I think with how the quarterback situation developed, picking up McCaffrey, it just feels like it's just destined for them. Then after that, it's all going to fall apart, and who knows? They'll end up going like 3 and like 15 or something or whatever. They'll go horrible down the next stretch, but no, I just feel like they just feel as the best cohesive team, and I think they can win. They are the one team out of what is left who I feel comfortable saying they can win blowout and they can win ugly.
I'm very, very tempted to agree. I think that also part of it is, based on my now current residence. Well, it kind of feels like I should be rooting for McCaffrey, former Panther, and Debo, former Gamecock.
Oh, there you go.
And they're just like they have yet to show enough of a crack in their armor to make me question that whether or not they can do it or not.
Right.
Throughout the entire season, of course, and in these 2 playoff games, they really have not shown. They really have not shown me enough of doubt to not say that. But man, is Joe Burrow scary.
Oh no, there's no doubt, man. Joe Shiesty's the real deal, man. Those guys are like that bad guy in a movie where you're like, no, don't even want to mess with him. Nope. Like he is, like that team is no joke, and like I said, the only reason I'm keeping my pick at KC is because I took them. But I wouldn't be surprised if they just go in there and literally just, this may be the end of the Chiefs' reign. Let's be realistic here. This very well could be the end of it. Because everyone was talking once they won their first Super Bowl that this was going to be it. Mahomes was going to match Brady Super Bowl for Super Bowl, and this was it. This was the next dynasty. Right now,
and
it's not looking that pretty.
Yeah, and people were saying that when Seattle was going to Super Bowls too, but people don't realize that even with the NFL growing like it does and keep increasing the salary cap, you cannot pay these quarterbacks the amount of money that the top quarterbacks demand and keep winning multiple Super Bowls.
You can't because your team suffers. It's just fact. You don't have the money, and no one's going to say, "Hey, buddy, yeah, sure, I'll play 4 years for $27,000."
Yeah.
And risk my life. Woo! Because I got cool swag and stuff. Like, no, come on now. I'm like the best wide receiver in the league. Yeah, you can pay me $15 an hour. I'm cool with that. Like, let's be realistic here. Like, it doesn't happen. And, and Aaron Rodgers caught a lot of flack for that after they signed him to that horrible 3-year deal. And Devontae said, peace out, Cub Scout.
Yeah.
And you're going to ding again because Brady set the mark for it. Pay me middle of the way because I want to win. It gives you enough money to bring in guys. Your endorsements and stuff are going to give you that money, but everyone wants to be the best paid. Doesn't mean you're going to be the winner.
I mean, hell, Gronk notoriously hadn't spent a dime of his entire contract for the first.
All freaking endorsement money. That man's spending that Duncan money still.
Yeah.
Duncan money. It's what. Remember those commercials with him and David Ortiz? Those are some good Duncan commercials. I love those. But no, and that's the case. Like at the end of the day, what's it about? What do you want it to be? The young guys want the money, and then after like 7-8 years, I'm tired of losing. I want to be a winner. Yeah, well, you end up on that team that you think is going to win, and then they lose, and then you don't get your ring, and then you're like, coulda, shoulda, woulda.
I had a hypothetical conversation once years ago, and obviously this is a little different for quarterbacks because there's a lot more pressure on quarterbacks to win more than one. But like if you're any other position, go to some stacked team that's going to be a Super Bowl condition that plays in some garbage nonsense type of snowy cold weather, get your ring, and then just go to like San Diego or Miami and play for the rest of your career. At that, because if you're not a quarterback, who gives a hoot? All you need is one. All you need is one, and you're made. And just go live out the rest of your life. It's like ballers.
But I think it all depends on your genetic makeup. If you're a person who wants to win, is that one enough? Like to quote a great man, which ring is your favorite ring? The next ring.
One.
Ding!
Ding.
So it's like, I think it just depends on the player. If you just want that one and you're good and you're fine with that and you just want to go ahead and play somewhere else and just collect the money, then that's fine. That's your gig, but I don't know. Yeah. It's like, why do you play the game?
It's a hard argument to apply to quarterbacks because once they win one, there's an expectation, and you're constantly going to be under the microscope if you don't get another one.
Exactly. It's like, all right. But it also is, what I think you're under the microscope if you have talent on that team. If the team is like the Houston Texans, it's like, no, there's nothing there. Instead of being a 2-win team, you turned them into a 6-win team. Congratulations.
Yeah. Or if you're the Trent Dilfer of the world, then you were probably never expecting to get a Super Bowl anyway. Then your one does feel like 6.
Very true. Very true. Love the Trent Dilfer, no disrespect.
That's right. Oh, my friend, we are so close to Super Bowl.
It's kind of depressing. I enjoy this time of year, but then I'm like, it's sad because then it's like, okay, yeah, baseball's starting and that takes forever. That's like 8 years a season because 500 games it feels like. So now I got to look forward to like the draft.
Yeah, you're looking like Old Rose and Titanic. What year is it?
Like, when's the draft? When's the draft? And free agents and all that. But, we're still a little bit of ways from that, so we're going to enjoy the rest of the season. But, the Final Four, they look inviting. That AFC is going to be the interesting scenario.
I think so. Yeah, I think the Final Four is very impressive right now.
No, it is. It's legit. I have no problems with it.
Sir,
it's been an honor and a privilege as always, sir.
I'll catch you next weekend.
Woohoo!